You're looking at the title of this video and you're thinking LeBron 17s, that means Tokyo Butter 23 is going to gush, because Tokyo Butter 23 gushes about LeBron 17s. I must have reviewed 7 or 8 different upcoming drops from the LeBron line for these 17s because I think they're clean. I love them. I think they're a great sneaker, and they topped out with that Harlem Fashion Row doing, which I absolutely gushed over. So it's a high percentage chance that if you're checking out one of my videos and it's about LeBron 17s, I'm going to be absolutely in love with them. But I'm not. There have only been 2 of the 17s so far that I've been a bit about, and the Japanese word for that is imaichi, which is like not really my thing. Surprisingly, the first ones that I did that on were the infrareds. It seems like just about everybody was in love with those guys, but not me. And then here we are with these Space Jam 2s, the MONSTARS, and I'm just kind of like, yeah. There are some really fine things on there that I'm really into and I really dig, but there's also some things on there that I'm just kind of like, no, that doesn't really sit very well with me. So I'm going to be looking at those things today as I bring you a look at the upcoming release of the Nike Lebron 17 MONSTARS. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. It's my Nichi Absurdo Day, my Nichi Meeting Inside. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today we're looking at that upcoming release of the Nike Lebron 17 MONSTARS, which is to go with the Space Jam 2 movie, which is coming in 2021. It seems like they've been making this movie forever, and I was really surprised to see that it's not coming until next year, man. That's far down the line, and right there, that's one of my issues with the sneaker, Space Jam 2. I've constantly talked when I've reviewed LeBron's about how I feel a little bit uncomfortable at the echoes of the Jordan line that seem to come into his sneakers, the Jump Man versus the Dunk Man, and then there are some sneakers that you can actually see the physical resemblance between the two. I think is that LeBron 5s and Jordan 10s are a particular sneaker that I kind of tie up in my mind quite heavily, so that there's always been this kind of like thing going on. Even the infrareds, which looked like infrared 6s, you know, were deliberately. They were deliberate. It's not like they were like what's the word? Surreptitiously. It's not like they were sneakily going for that tie-up between the Jordan 6 infrareds and the LeBron 17 infrareds. I mean, I know that I reviewed the sneaker. Boing. I reviewed the sneakers, so I know that it was a deliberate tie-up, especially on that tongue area with LeBron written in flight font. But I just think LeBron needs to get away from Jordan. Instead of trying to either match him or be compared to him, he just needs to like plow his own furrow, go his own way. So doing Space Jam 2 for me, it's like yeah, another Jordan sort of echo. So right off the bat there, that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit sort of like, you know what, the word is ambivalent. There you go. The word is ambivalent. I'm ambivalent about these. I just like me. So it's not my favorite sneaker. However, they do have some really fire things going on. I have not seen the battle knit look like this before. The battle knit is fire. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I especially love the way that they've incorporated it into the LeBron 17s, and that effect where around the back it's all swirly and mixed in together, and then as you get towards the front, it becomes sort of monotone or single tone. And I've never seen it look so colorful and so all the colors mixed in together. It's a really fine battle knit on these. I mean, I think the Lakers was maybe the one with the most color after these guys, but these guys have a ton of color in there. And this gives me a chance to sort of segue over to the LeBron 17 currencies. I was requested to do a review of the LeBron 17 currencies, but I can't. My sneaker channel is all about upcoming sneaker releases and sneaker news, stuff that's coming down the line, but the currencies have already dropped, so regretfully I can't do a review of the currencies, but I can squeeze a little nod to them because the person who requested me to do this actually has a pair of the LeBron 17 currencies, and they are cool. And I kind of wish I had reviewed them, especially with that insole and the cool kind of detailing and the different, I think it's 5 different currency signs like pound and dollar and euro and yen and things like that on the insoles. So the currencies are a fine LeBron 17, but they're very kind of toned down and subtle, whereas the battle knit on these guys, these MONSTARS, is in your face and absolutely popping. And like I said, I've never seen it look quite this dramatic before. And speaking of dramatic, if we flip these guys around to look at the front, you've got that dramatic splash of orange and purple on there, which represents the naughty little evil guys from Space Jam 1, the first Space Jam. The baddies were Bup, Kiss and Pound, and one in orange and one in purple. So to represent those guys, you've got on that lace shroud on the front there, one in purple and one in orange. But to me, those lace shrouds say more Jurassic Park than they do Space Jam. And there's the original Jurassic Park had this really small dinosaur who had this fan that came out of its neck and then spat poison in your eyes. And that's what this kind of reminds me of, is the sort of like the I don't know if it's a shroud or the neck kind of area around a dinosaur rather than a monster and the Space Jam guys. So for me, that's a little bit sort of a on there, and then that massive 0 down below on that lace shroud as well. Now I wonder if taking the lace shroud off is actually a good move, and you end up with just that sleek, clean sneaker, which has no kind of detailing that points towards the Space Jam 2 movie. I wouldn't mind betting these guys look clean without that shroud on there. But what's interesting though is if you come down from the laces onto the upper and then all the way to the midsole, there's 2 things on the midsole. Now one I've read about, and the other one I'm just guessing. And the thing I've read about is that the mud guards, or the way the midsole kind of wraps up onto the upper, has some sparkle effect on there. It's kind of hard to see, but I did find this picture here, which shows you that sort of sparkle effect within those elements of the sneaker. But what's missing from there is a swoosh. So I'll give you the lateral side, doing right there, and you can see the lateral side. Usually the swoosh, I don't know which side it'll be on, but usually the swoosh would be in one of these 2 places, depending on which side's the ankle. You'd see the swoosh. Or, boop, there's the medial side. Maybe they thought to put it on the medial side, but you can see that there's no swoosh on either side around the heel section, which is where you normally would find it. In fact, going back to those infrareds that I talked about before, that was one of the things I didn't like about them, was this big white swoosh on the sort of ankle heel area of the lateral side. But that's missing from these guys. I don't see a swoosh on them anywhere, which is kind of an interesting feature. But again, I think if you took those lace shrouds off without that swoosh on the side as well, you'd get this really clean colorway. So it'd be interesting to see what these guys look like I said, without that lace shroud on there. So so they are really clean looking sneaker. I'm a huge fan of the 17s, as I've said before. The LeBron 17 is one of my favorite sneakers to review at the channel. I especially like the way that the upper and the laces and the upper kind of blend in together. I always say it when I talk about them. I call it, is it sleek? I think I call it sleek. I think it's a really sleek sneaker, and especially with that battlenet popping on there. But staying up in that the laces and going back to that lace shroud, you can see this is one of the things I do like about the 17s, is how kind of subtle they are. They're not as in your face as previous LeBron sneakers, and if you look on the front of the lace shroud there, you can see that lion print on there is very smooth to the lace shroud. It's not like popping off, which reminds me of Watch the Thrones. You know, the Watch the Thrones like are really in your face, whereas these guys, it's much more subtle and much more laid back on the lace shroud there, which fits the whole kind of aesthetic of the whole 17 line. So one of my favorite sneakers to have come out the last few months. I really, really do like the LeBron 17s. But these here, you know, take away the Space Jam 2 bit, take away the lace shrouds, probably a really fine sneaker. But with those 2 elements in there, it's a little bit kind of a bit much for me. I mean, if you look on the insole, for example, there's a Space Jam motif going on in the insole. That would have been enough for me. That's it. Just put the insole on there, and then the colorway itself speaks of Space Jam. But putting those kind of mismatched lace shrouds on the front was just doesn't really quite do it for me. So that's my look at the upcoming release of the Nike Lebron 17 MONSTARS, which is dropping on February the 13th. I mean, it is a fine looking sneaker, and it is a LeBron 17, so it's probably going to do pretty well. But speaking of LeBrons, let me go doing. There's yesterday's sneaker, which was the LeBron 7, what was it now, All-Star, which is a fine sneaker, really clean sneaker. So if you're interested in your LeBrons, that's what we were talking about just yesterday with the LeBron sneaker. Now tomorrow, what we'll be talking about is Yeezy 350 V2 samples. 4 pairs of Yeezy 350 V2 samples in hand from Shoe Butter. Every Sunday, rare sneakers in hand at this channel, and that's what's coming tomorrow. So definitely make sure you're here to check that out. But it's time for me to say farewell, and thank you guys for checking out my content. However, as I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.